today I'm going to make a little video comparing and contrasting Flight Sim 2020 to 2024 in the world of virtual reality. I am in Flight Sim 2020 currently. I'm in Frederick Municipal Airport in the Bonanza V35B. I am connected through a virtual desktop, and I am actually hard connected to my router instead of through Wi-Fi. I will do a separate video on why you might want to consider doing that. But here we are in VR. All my settings are set to Ultra in 2020. I am using the latest DLSS file through DLSS Swapper. And you can see on the ground here, I'm hovering around 33, 34 frames a second at a latency of about 74 milliseconds. I have my graphics quality in virtual desktop set to godlike, my render resolution set to 100%, and my headset is set to 90 hertz refresh rate. I was going to say, let's go ahead and take off and fly around for a little bit. Alright, so here I am once again flying around Frederick. It's one of my favorite places to fly, with VFR. In 2020, with the last World Update, it brought, Frederick up to, near real life realism levels. It looks phenomenal. And like I said, everything in Frederick is a one-for-one copy for what you would see in reality. I mean, like that house, those houses down there. If I went down there in real life, the roof colors, everything would be exactly as it is in the city. Fort Detrick. There's the VA clinic I go to right there. It's kind of nice having my doctor's office literally, 2 blocks from my house. Cruising down my street. Oh, there's my house. So like I said, Flight Sim 2020 is great. I'm getting anywhere between 28, 32 frames a second in VR, which, and I do have like video buffering and, I don't have, reprojection mode turned on, but, for VR, it's definitely, smooth enough. It's passable. You get a pretty good VR experience out of it. And so let's go ahead and switch over to Flight Sim 2024. And let's sort of repeat this same flight, from same airport, same aircraft, same conditions, same everything. And let's go ahead and see what the difference is. Okay, here we are in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Once again, in Frederick. Now, I'm at the opposite end of the runway I just took off, but I'm in the same Beechcraft Bonanza V35B. Now, one of the big differences that you'll notice is look at my frames per second. On the same settings, ultra settings, I'm getting 65 frames a second here on the ground. My latency is also a little bit lower. It's about 50 milliseconds versus 70 in 2024. Once again, graphics quality is godlike, render resolution is 100. Basically, everything, nothing has changed with the exception of, I'm switching from 2020 to 2024. So I'm getting about double the FPS. Let's go ahead and
Beechcraft, November 27858, Potomac approach, squawk 006
now the simple fact that I'm getting double the frame rate in 2024 that I was in 2020.
858 radar, contact 1 mile south of 7 Mike Delta Tree,
just by watching, you're probably not, won't see much difference, but from a VR perspective, it just feels a whole lot smoother than it does in 2020. I mean, it's just silky smooth. The illusion of speed, it's much higher. I mean, I really feel like I'm boogieing in 2024 versus 2020. Now you saw a frame rate drop. Now you'll probably notice that is like if I turn my head, sometimes you'll get a drop in frames as the computer's trying to process all the things what you were looking at to what you are looking at. There's my VA clinic. It's funny, when I first did tests with this, like when I wasn't recording, when I had my headset set at a refresh rate of 72 hertz, and I was getting frame rates 72 frames a second, pretty rock steady. And so while I was getting more FPS, having a refresh rate of 90 on the headset makes it feel smoother, in my opinion. So that's gonna have to be something that you're gonna have to. Interesting. Look at it, my FPS has dropped all the way down. But that's gonna have to be something you'll have to decide for yourself. What do you want? Just a higher raw throughput of frames per second, or how you perceive that through the refresh rate. But once again, I think that, like I said, the big difference is on the whole I'm getting a much better frames per second. I'm getting a lower latency. I mean, on average of 20 milliseconds lower in 2024 than I was in 2020. Also, when you look at the game, like the game is at 16 milliseconds, encoding's at 5, networks at 3, decoding's at 12. That's also faster in 2024. Slightly. I mean, are you really going to notice milliseconds? I don't know. One of the reasons why we could have noticed a drop in frames per second over, I guess the big difference between 2020 and 2024 is in 24 most everything is streamed off the internet, so you're going to need a solid internet connection. But scenery on both is downloaded over the internet, but other things are not. I mean, you can see here, like the Frederick Fairgrounds, so it's like poo. Why, I don't know. But what I was going to say is, we could have had a loss in FPS as things were downloading, over the internet and being loaded into the sim, we could have lost FPS. And as it gets loaded into memory and into cache, then it could get better. But once again, as I'm flying over here near the Gold Mile, I'm getting drops in FPS again. And huge jumps in latency. So you can see there, the game went to 38, 28. The latency spiked there. Overall latency. And like I said, the only thing I can come up with, it's got to be trying to download and inject into the sim a lot of data. I always want to come over to this farm and see if they still have this. I don't know if it's a wheat maze or whatever, but like the thank you mom and dad, it's something farm, but that's really cool. So in conclusion, even though the launch of Flight Sim 2024 has been an epic disaster at pretty much all levels, I think that the performance in VR, at least to me, says, hey, it is what it is. Have a little patience. Try to remember that this is a very, very early build of Flight Sim 2024, and that if they have the same knack for improvement that they did for 2020, the ceiling for this sim is incredibly high. And so have patience. I would say at this point, you could potentially, use both sims, because, in some areas you're going to get a better experience out of Flight Sim 2020, but in other areas you're going to get a better experience out of 2024. So just, once again, have patience. And, but like I said, seeing the amount of increased performance in virtual reality between the two sims, I'm certainly going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like and subscribe. Leave your comments below, and until next time, have a wonderful day.